All right. Greetings and salutations. Hetep and wholeness to all. Master Ashep here, soul healer, chi practitioner, with a brief sharing on basic crystal healing. And with that being said, there is a lot of information out there pertaining to crystals. Just like there is a lot of information out there pertaining to quite a bit of everything, really. Generally speaking, there are a lot of things that have a general idea, concept, definition, principles regarding. And every now and again, you find some things that may be contrary or say some different things. So, again, crystals are the same way. And so, this sharing will be based upon the information gathered over the years and my person's personal experience on working with crystals. And with that being said, there are two basic ways. Well, first of all, what are crystals? What is a crystal? So basic crystal healing. We want to discuss what are crystals, how they work, and how they may be used for healing. So crystals, and my brother Roz Ben has a book. This is one of the books in my person's library called Rocks of Ages. There are two books in the library. This is one, Rocks of Ages, and the other is a book called The Book of Stones. And this book is by Robert Simmons and Nisha Asian. So again, these are the two books in the library. And the difference is the Book of Stones pretty much have most, if not every, crystal from common to exotic crystals. And they give two different perspectives on where they come from, the hardness, how they're used, things like that, from the masculine and feminine perspective. Our brother Ross Benz, his perspective is more, he does a lot with the history or prehistory rather, things like before, biblical times. They say the biblical times came around 6,000 years ago. Indeed, good celebration, Sister Dorothy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, and so the brother Ross Benz, his definition of crystals or a crystal is pretty much um, anything or a organ or a substance that superconducts, semiconducts, conducts, and resonates various frequency. And thought that page was marked to give a further example of what he means by that. But again, that's the book's definition. He goes further off into what it means by resonate, conduct, superconduct. Generally speaking, it interacts with energy. And in layman's terms, from my personal perspective, anything that has the ability to feel crystals. And if you look at the kingdoms, the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, the mineral kingdom, the human kingdom, generally speaking, all have the ability to feel. So all of us, especially humans, can be considered crystals. Animals can be considered crystals, and plants more like biocrystals because we interact with the energies around and can respond based upon the energies around. Now, however, in the mineral kingdom, you have rocks like regular rocks. Those are more latent. They don't have the potential to necessarily interact with the energies like what we call crystals. Crystals. And what crystals are in the mineral kingdom are the feelers. If we look at it generally speaking, the animal kingdom, the human kingdom, and the plant kingdom, for the most part, what we consider sentient beings, again, can feel, emote, can respond to stimuli, whereas in things like rocks, for the most part, do not. However, crystals can be considered minerals that feel, because crystals are made from minerals and they are organized, their structure is organized in such a way that they can send out energies, and they can also, if energy's coming in, they also have the ability to shift that energy as well. Again, we are crystals. We are living crystals, biocrystals. The main difference between the two ends of the spectrum, right? Again, you have what's commonly called rocks, which those that feel are crystals, but rocks generally don't move. Then you have the higher end of humans. We move, act, and think, and do all kind of things. Yet we're both crystals. And the main difference is, as rocks, as it indicates, the name indicates, they're more stable. So these crystals have more stability, as in they don't really change their properties. Whereas we, depending upon the weather, we can actually change. We can, feel good, feel bad. If somebody say something, feel good, feel bad. Generally speaking, this feeling thing, so-called feel good, so-called feel bad. So that's generally what a crystal is the ability to interact with the environment, energies in the environment. And again, the crystals specifically we're speaking about will be the crystals, mineralized crystals, minerals, crystals. And just to touch on that as well, most of us are familiar with herbs, especially with Dr. U, member of our Chi family. And generally speaking, just like herbs can facilitate healing in pretty much any area that needs to be, so can crystals. And most of the mineral content that makes up a crystal, what gives it its color, and composition, hardness, things like that. Those same minerals also affects the body. And the brother Ross Ben in his book, he kind of goes more into specifics. If you need, say, manganese, iron, copper, even, as a mineral, whatever the body needs as a mineral, he kind of lists the minerals and gives some examples of crystals. So it kind of cuts down the process if you're looking for that type of healing. As well as in his books, he looks at the like relationship healing between adults and children, elders and adults, siblings. So he looks at various crystals for that. And again, it's simplified in the book. Other than that, you can always Google if there's a particular ailment, symptom, curiosity that you have. Just simply say, hey, what crystal is good for this? And there will be plenty of crystals that come up. So with this tutorial sharing of basic crystal healing, we can kind of maybe focus, if you're looking to experiment, explore more, kind of focus that just with the information being shared here. So that's basically what a crystal is, and how they work is quite lovely. Pun intended. Lovely as in like our BFF, our ace boon coon, our ride or die, life partner, the one that we bond and connect with, that feel our soul mate. And the same way, the more this, just as much we enjoy being around these individuals. And over time, we tend to pick up tendencies and traits, mannerisms, saying things alike, repeating each other's phrases. Some even begin to look alike. Why? Because our energies are becoming one, literally becoming one. There's a certain entanglement, coherence, that comes with being around someone for extensive period of time. And crystals are the same way. Whichever the properties of the crystal has, then the longer you're around the crystal, then over time, those properties tend to manifest in your being. It's just that simple, like magic. And intention, just like in any relationship, has weight. Meaning, if we are aware of why we're wearing it, especially say on a daily basis, if you're looking, say, for specific healing, then if you are to meditate in quiet time, self-reflecting, any of these things that causes your person to bring this attention to itself, and how it's conducting itself. In that time, just also give thanks to the crystal and, for its assisting in that shift. That's as simple as that. And over time, it can be something as simple as, hey, give thanks, just something very simple to make acknowledgement. And again, just like in any relationship, it creates more of that bond. And so energetically, the crystal, because your energy is giving attention to the crystal feels that, and it's like sending energy right back at you. Okay, give thanks, let's do this thing. So that's the basic principle on how crystals facilitate healing. We just simply be around them. And there's no wrong way to be around them. And just like BFFs, the closer we are around them, especially if there's intimacy involved, like if we're touching, hugging, you know, that's about as far we want to go with the crystals. Oh, actually, they do have the jade eggs, which is kind of a transition to how we may resonate more with these crystals. And speaking of jade eggs, they're simply, for the most part, a jade crystal that's in the form of an egg that women tend to use for various healing purposes in their area down there, the vaginal area. So there's maybe our sister Kat knew, she's familiar with that, another chi practitioner. So there's any sister who may be interested in, jade eggs, crystallized the crystal, yeah, she can probably provide definitely a lot more information with that. Uh-huh. And other ways that crystals may be used somewhat internally is a person has shared with the elixir, dropping it in the water. And as the sun charges the crystal, again, because just as we're charged in the sunlight, the sun tends to charge crystals as well. And the sun charge and energize the crystals. And as water has the ability to just simply, break down, extract, absorb. And it really begins to just absorb the principles that are in the crystal. So, and from my person's the no egg, not yoni, 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 yoni egg. So yes, and as the crystals charge and as you ingestion, the properties as waters being ingested in the body tends to, go to the cellular level, the DNA. Similar to what happens when we're actually wearing copper, because wearing copper that has crystals attached, because with the crystal attached to the copper, and copper is a good conductor of energy. And so it's as though my person like to say it's an IV, and you get that IV in the arm for nutrients, for hydration, for purposes. And the copper is the same way. Or like for the Neo back in the Matrix, when you that thing in the back of the head when you get the uploads, it's like a direct connect. Many analogies for the direct connect. If the copper is touching the skin and the crystal is wrapped in copper, because again, the skin is one of the largest organs of the body and it breathes, it absorbs, lotions, soaps, things like this. So it actually absorbs copper, which is good for the body, as well as copper is bringing the principles of the properties of the crystal into the body. And good celebration, Sister Nicole. Welcome. And again, there's no wrong way to work with the crystals because even just having them, even in your pocket, a little pouch in your pocket is still good because they still emit energy. A lot of sisters, women may even have them in the bosom these days, as in to counteract or be in opposition to some women having the cell phones in the bosom, because studies have shown that cell phones in the breast can lead to breast cancer. And if you put a crystal in the breast area, rose quartz or an emerald, then that tends to facilitate more nurturing and loving vibration, more healing, right there at the heart. So you can place them on your skin, under your hat, if you wear a hat, or, something you sleep at night where it's touching. So there are many ways to just be around crystals on an altar, specific place in the home. So it just kind of permeates that energy. So every time you come to that space, that space is already set up for you. It's like that cow gun, take me away. That vortex is set there. In the office, for those who may still go to work, or go into places that, the energy is around just not so resonating, especially in apartment buildings when you think about it, because they're just like a step, it's working in like those cubicles and office buildings is similar to living in an apartment building because there's so much energy around. And, having crystals around can definitely assist because, again, the beauty of crystals is all they do is just kind of, they don't change like we can change. They don't change. Whatever the properties, you just kind of send that energy out. Yep. And the purse is good as well. Uh-huh. And within the purse, there is a crystal called citrine, Citrine. And a common name for the citrine is the merchant stone because it tends to attract wealth, attract money, prosperity. And it is suggested to keep it in the purse, or if you have a business near the cash register. So the citrine is a good stone for that. And as an FYI, it also resonates with the third chakra, which is an energy center in the body. For again, manifesting, our third chakra tends to deal with that solar power, solar plexus, solar power, the energy of the sun, to Leo, the light, to kind of manifest. So citrine is a good one to have in the purse, but any crystal really is a good one to have in the purse because, again, it's just like walking with your best friend, because it always kind of have that energy permeating. And my person did mention the sun as far as charging the crystal. And the new moon, the full moon can generally be used to charge as well. And the new moon generally can be used to clear the crystal. And my person used the word clear, maybe cleanse, because it's working with the crystals. They have shared, they've been around, they've been waiting for us humans. And so they have a way of holding the vibration so that just someone handing or touching or, being curious about the crystal, for the most part, will not harm your person's the intent or the program that the crystal already has. There are many thoughts on many books and things suggest that you should not let anyone touch your crystal. It's more of a preference, especially if you have one for a specific reason that you're specifically working with. You may not want to let any or everybody touch your crystal. However, generally speaking, if it's an everyday crystal that you wearing every day or is in public already, it's already interacting. It's already interacting with energies. So if someone touches it, it's not that much different. Again, just more so if it's like more so in the house, it's more private, it's not doing a whole lot of interacting. And what happens is the citrine is one. There are a few stones that don't need to be cleared because it kind of self-clears. That's one things about citrine. Selenite also self-cleans, and selenite, Selenite, is very soft and brittle. I mean, you can probably, one or two can probably break this like break it, but it is also a good one for charging of the crystals. So this piece, whatever crystal you have, set it on it or around it, the selenite will charge the other crystals, as well as a clear quartz. It has the ability to more so amplify other crystals. So, and just kind of mentioning a few crystals here and there. Not going to go up into a whole like list of what crystals specifically for this or for that, because again, give thanks to the Google God these days for whatever curiosity, whatever specific that you have, can actually Google that crystal and it will show up. However, my person would have scrolling down here. That should be scrolling. Nonetheless, some of the more on the website, there's a list of more the common crystals that my person work with. And just to speak about common crystals and not so common crystals, one of the most common crystals that there are would be the clear quartz, one of the most common crystals. And one of the most powerful, well, they're all powerful in their sense. Powerful in the sense that if you were to have only one crystal to work with, my person would simply suggest it for be the clear quartz. And the reason why the clear quartz crystal is because the clear quartz has the ability to, it resonates with all chakras, all energy centers of the body. So it nourishes all of our energy centers, as well as it has the ability to amplify our thoughts. So again, for those who like to meditate, quiet time, self-reflect, introspect, just check in with self and see what's happening. And if you're, have saying, okay, let's be this way, we should do it this way. If you're in the habit of, say, programming yourself to be a certain way, just having that clear course around, that'll do it. That'll cover all the areas. Because every area that you give attention to and focus on, that clear course will help facilitate that change. And it's a good crystal because it is programmable. We talk about, we are programmed, it's people, our programming and conditionings. So is the clear quartz. So much so that it was began back in the day when they first had what's called the LCD watches. The digital watches. When the digital watches first came out, the LCD was so excited back in the day. Like, oh, got a digital watch, got a digital watch. So that digital watch, LCD, stands for liquid crystal display. So the clear quartz crystal is pretty much the father, mother of technology in a sense, because it is the clear quartz crystals that is used in cell phones, VCR, how to program the VCR. It was clear quartz crystals, everything in the clear quartz, crush and chips, the clear quartz crystals. So very powerful. Just one to kind of keep in the bag in a sense, pun intended. So yeah, again, there's no wrong way to rock with them, wearing them, elixir with the water around in your purse, even taking a bath. My person hasn't done this, but have heard testimony that, like a clear quartz, for example, because it's again a very general and common crystal. The clear quartz, if you run your bath water, let the crystal in the bath water for like 15, 20 minutes before getting in, it changes the tub, and you're sitting there. It's my person here tells is a quite electrifying experience. So, to bathe with the crystal, and with the crystal in the bath and also in the water. Generally speaking, the harder the crystal, then the more suitable it is for the water. Because again, water has a tendency to kind of break down and absorb the properties. And clear quartz, again, is just a good, because it's hard. Clear quartz, amethyst, citrine, those are generally hard crystals. And of the softer crystals, or if you get them polished, like tumbled and polished, then there shouldn't be a problem, because even if it's a soft crystal, if it's tumbled, then there's a process where it's kind of, in its hardened form or protective form in a sense. So, and for water, my person generally use the shungite, Shungite, the shungite crystal. And what makes the shungite crystal particularly special in a sense for water, because as a black crystal, as a black stone, like most, it does have the potential to protect. And like the black tourmaline, it protects from like the 5G, the Wi-Fi, electromagnetic frequencies, those type of things, as well as, fear. However, it has a chalky, necessarily feel, but residue to it. So raw, they have like a powder, it comes off your hand, kind of like charcoal, because there's a charcoal-like substance called fullerenes that mainly makes up the crystal. And the fullerenes is one of those minerals, it's like a detoxifying agent. And so since the shungite has that, as the fullerenes, the charcoal-like substance enters the body, it has a tendency to help detox, remove impurities from the body. This is based upon the information, at least. So this is what my person uses the shungite. And not personally, but another sister like tested and said it does alkaline the water as well. She actually tested the water. However, my person does know from the taste, it does taste different. It tastes even springier than spring, or maybe even more natural taste than spring, clearer. Let's get this right. Hold on. Let's see this right now. A more pure taste. That is it. A more pure taste. So that's just my personal experience, the Shanghai crystal. Um, yeah. And basically how my person got started with the crystals is actually on the body and just having a little information idea about chakras and how chakras work. A person was like, "Oh yes, let's just put the crystal right on the chakra." I was just so excited, like oh, this is information. Oh, and the reason being was because finding out about the chakra was is kind of like my person's lane, metaphysics. The energy centers. We really don't get any more metaphysical than talking about our chakras in a sense. Because our chakras and our energy system. The speaking of chakras, there are more than seven, generally speaking. At least there's evidence of. We're commonly speaking about the seven main chakras that line the spine. The most common ones that we are familiar with is what's commonly called the third eye or the first eye, depending upon the perspective. Being as though this eye is the eye that forms before these two eyes, the pineal gland in a sense. And distilled water can be used. Yeah, because what it the theory with that, my person did use distilled water for a while. Then it just switched to alcohol. I mean, just regular Deer Park water, spring water, and then it went to a purifier. So now my person just has a water purifier and does it that way. And the theory with the distilled water, it doesn't have anything in there. So what you actually will drinking will be the properties, you know, of the crystals, which is a mineral. And with that, based upon your lifestyle, your live it versus diet, your live it because we're living these days. The amount of nutrients that your body is that you're taking in, it may be good to maybe switch up from time to time because spring water does have other natural minerals as well. Besides the properties of the crystal, it has other natural trace minerals that the body needs as well. So cool. Right on, Sister Valerie. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And just getting into now, kind of summing up, there's no wrong way to use crystals. And some personal ways that my person have used them as far as especially getting started was, again, placing them on these energy centers. Third eye, first eye being one of the main ones. Throat chakra, even our heart is one of the biggest ones. We speak about, follow your heart. My heart aches. Love, close down your heart because you've been hurt so much. And we're not necessarily talking about the physical heart. We're talking about the heart center, which is a chakra, the fourth chakra, which is in the center, three above, three below in a sense. And there's a color therapy that is also good with chakras and crystals, because again, generally speaking, you can Google any crystal and there's so much information come up. Some of the information will overlap. You'll find some consistencies. And some of the information will be a contrast, different, contradiction, like, oh, interesting. And so with that, one thing that is a standard that's pretty much consistent is the color of the crystal, such as in color therapy. Because with the basic understanding of the chakras, and there's a painting right there, the red. Roy G. Biv is the kind of acronym: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. So if there is a crystal that is one of those colors or is mainly one of those colors, because some crystals are like solid red, like red jasper. Maybe it touches something, but some crystals have a main color of red, such as or orange, for example, like carnelian, it's kind of different various shades of orange. But nonetheless, some of the more, generally speaking, whatever the color of the crystal, whatever that primary color is, that's the color therapy that will resonate with that chakra. And if you have an idea of the chakras, then you have an idea of which crystals that will resonate. And again, there's no wrong way to choose crystals by simply understanding what it is you're looking for, because there's a crystal for everything. Or if you happen to be around crystals, again, just by touching and feeling and looking, if it looks good, feel good, then that crystal is actually talking and saying, hey, let's ride. Let's become BFFs just for a little while, for a season, if you will. And yeah, that's pretty much as you kind of begin to wind down here. There any other questions? Of course, specific questions about crystals. As my person begin to just kind of wrap up the overview, what we discussed on basic crystal healing, which is basically crystals are feelers of the mineral kingdom. If we look at the four different kingdoms, we have the mineral kingdom, the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, and the human kingdom. And of those four, generally speaking, the plant, animal, and human kingdom are more feelers, meaning we feel each other, plants and trees, and they talk to each other, animals communicate to each other, humans communicate with each other, and we tend to communicate with all three, generally speaking. However, in the mineral kingdom, there isn't much communication done with the rocks, unless these rocks are crystals. So yes, the various seasons. Yes. Speaking of minerals and seasons, that's a good tie-in there. If these rocks are crystals, which means that they are minerals that are crystallized, they have a tendency to send out energy. We can feel it and have a ooh, it can facilitate change. So that's really what a crystal is. They're just a feeler, a rock that can feel, right? And as the seasons change, such as now we're into the spring season, one may look at the spring has a correlation with the organ of the liver. The element is wood, the organ is the liver. Liver have a correlation with our anger. Third chakra resonate. So for this season of the springtime, we may want to look at an orange, red, orange, yellow crystal, or anything that may facilitate, assist us with our liver or our third chakra. And for my person's use of common crystals, that would be the tiger's eye and the citrine once again. Those are two very common crystals, citrine and tiger's eye. And my person used the word common crystals as opposed to uncommon or more exotic, because if the store is not a crystal store, and they may have a few crystals, chances are they will have a tiger's eye. Chances are they will have a citrine, a clear quartz, a rose quartz. So there are a few crystals that some stores that may be, health stores or metaphysical stores, they're not crystal stores, they actually may have a few crystals. And generally speaking, my person does not sell crystals because we generally use them for wrapping. However, not turning anyone down. We haven't turned anyone down yet for buying crystals. We haven't turned anyone down, but generally we use them for wrapping crystals. And again, with the website, you get an idea of the specific crystals. And my person kind of did the work through researching the various websites and said, they say this about the crystals, they say this about the crystals, what's kind of common there, and just saying what resonates, with the crystal, and says, okay, cool. And kind of written up what they call description cards. So kind of have his own description cards, about maybe 20, no more than 25 crystals on the website, again, the common crystals. Yeah, so again, what are crystals? They're the feelers of the mineral kingdom, and how we use them, basically just being around them, just like our BFF, just like Ace Boon Coon, ride or die. The longer that we're around someone, very subtly, we begin to pick up mannerisms. And with the crystals, the same way. The more we're around the crystal, whether it be wearing in a certain place in the house, we just more we're around, we pick up its vibration. And just an idea of what my person does these days, this is the Ankh. Kind of maybe step back a little bit here. It actually walks with this Ankh. It's only for a season. It's only for a season. And the smaller Ankh and the scepter. So this is how my person rocks these days. This and coppering the fingers. Before they were crystals, but now it's just copper. And the reason being is, again, starting with just placing crystals on the body, just placing crystals on the body, just to facilitate change, starting with the chakras. Because as a metaphysician, my person has a perspective that things begin in the unseen first, come from heaven to earth. And so with our chakras, our energy centers, have a specific correlation or can facilitate change in our physical body through our organs to provide optimal health. And my person said, well, if we begin to facilitate change in our energy centers, then as well as doing certain exercise like daily exercises, eating more healthier foods, more fruits and vegetables, eating more minerals, fruits and vegetables, minerals. So we eat more minerals, drink plenty of water, and as we look to change, facilitate more corrections, as we deprogram and reprogram ourselves from society. Because at the Collective Health Initiative, we find that, generally speaking, the health plans you never had, we're looking at various ways that we can holistically heal ourselves. And again, energetically speaking, working with the crystals, we're coming from heaven to earth, from the unseen aspect of healing down to the physical aspect. And there's no wrong way to rock the rocks, baby. All right, cool. Well, if there's another topic, just shoot the topic, reach out, and there'll be another live video, Sister Tiffany Ransom. Because at this point of the game, this is all we should do, just kind of share our experiences, which, over like 20 years, just to kind of close this out again, just from the experiences. My person got here because in 1993, as a, so-called diehard Christian, a zealot on fire for the Lord, Gemini rising has an extreme personality as well. Reading the Bible, it's like read the Bible from front to back. And getting to the prophets, found out that Enoch and Elijah did not die. So in 1993, it was like, well, God, God was in the sky somewhere in heaven. God, how not to die? How not to die? How to just be like Enoch, just have a relationship with God so that when the work is over, we just become one. There's no physical death. And today, there's a term called ascension or light body, rainbow body, that kind of alludes to the possibility of what was mentioned in the Bible. And so that's how my person got started. It was like how not to die, and which is becoming one with God while still alive. And through understanding the energy centers or our energy system can be looked at as the bridge between what we call our physical selves, our physical body, and that what you call Mother, Father, God, the source of the universe, our energy system. And my person just says, okay, how to get this energy system in line, in harmony, so that it is subtle, so that this energy center can receive information from Mother, Father, God. Listen to God talk, because it's a vibration, it's a frequency. Can receive that information from Mother, Father, God through its energy center, its chakras, its energy center, and be able to process that so it understands and act upon that, which means that it's not acted upon some things that was told about that wasn't for its best interest, hence reprogramming, deprogramming. So again, in a nutshell, that's when a person got started way back years ago with wanting to become one with God and understanding our energy system and our chakras have a certain, assistance with that. And crystals can be, a tool to help facilitate that. So yes, Gemini, right on, right on. Another twin, soul sister. Gemini and some twins. So yes, right on, right on. Give thanks, Sister Dorothy. And again, give thanks for tuning in to the health class you never had, because this is what it's all about. A few of us been on this journey for quite some time. And as we share the information we've learned, it inspires us to just, build our healing community. That's what it's all about. Each one teach one. So, just sharing, give thanks. And there's a new season coming up of the health class you never had. Look forward for that in June. In the meantime, just stay tuned to the page there, and the Collective Health Initiative page on Facebook and everything. And everything is everything. All right. And you're quite welcome, Sister Nicole. And again, appreciate everyone for chiming in. And it's really exciting just to, know you guys appreciate it. It's like, wow, so that's cool. But get off this line before that tears start coming down. That is a vibration, becoming more sensitive to these crystals. My person feels that, like, okay, time to end. You're starting to get a little emotional. Again, give thanks. Stay tuned for more information coming from the Collective Health Initiative, your holistic HMO. And again, Master Ashep, Soul Healer at your service. Right on, right on. Indeed. And everyone, enjoy your creations and the best of thoughts to you. It's happening.